Going reactive to proactive. That's been the mantra for customer success, for all SaaS businesses out there, and that's what we are all and you are all trying to do. But let's take a step back. And before we get into what it takes to go from reactive to proactive, let's take a minute to define what do we mean by going proactive? How will I know as a business, as a customer success manager, that we are actually now proactive in our actions and reactions? So here are a few ways. We all know what reactive means. Reactive basically means you, Mr. Customer, have a problem. You come to me at support@iwillrespondback.com and you take your time responding. But if the customer does not reach out to you, you fundamentally will never reach back to the customer in this particular case. So basically you are reacting to a request by the customer. So what does it mean to be proactive? It can mean actually multiple things. You have to define what does it mean to be proactive. While you can be proactive in one aspect of customer success, while you can continue to be running reactive in the rest of the areas. Let me give you an example. You might decide to onboard a customer proactively. That's something at a bare minimum that customers expect anyway. While you can continue to be mitigating risks in a very reactive way only when the customer reaches out to you and requests for help. Let's take an example. Let's say you are running a CRM company, and this is one example that I use multiple times. Let's say you are a customer success leader at a CRM company. Now, as a CRM company, let's say proactively you want to decide that all your customers get a great forecast for your sales revenues. While this can be a decision that you want to go after this particular use case, this particular business outcome in a very proactive way, the other use cases, let's say delivering a custom pipeline, delivering a better lead response time, all these can continue to be a very reactive use cases that you can still deliver. So now how do we make sure that the particular use case that you want to enable proactively can actually be enabled proactively? Here are the steps in which you will ensure that this happens proactively. Number one, you will set out a signal or an alert. You will fix an alert there. You'll say whenever a forecast report is generated, you want to make sure that it gets generated for certain standards, that a report actually gets generated. You have those reports, or whether that happens weekly, monthly, quarterly, whatever the frequency of your CRM usage is by your end customers, you set that up and you define that if that is not happening, that will generate a trigger. And if that will generate a trigger, that will make sure that that trigger will then trigger a process internally for your customer success managers. And that process will have or will deliver an outcome. That process could be reaching out to your customers, checking with them what their context is, suggesting them a training, educating them in the process, showing them or even helping them set up the revenue forecast. And all of this will then lead to the outcome, which will then be that they get to a better revenue forecast report. And hence, taking this particular use case and turning it around and making it from a reactive originally to now a proactive use case. Whereas on the other hand, if somebody still needs to get better at lead turnaround time, they can still reach out to at support@yourcrm.com and request you for that particular use case. So my case being, you choose to be proactive in certain use cases. And in certain other use cases, or rather all the other use cases, you choose to continue to be reactive. There's nothing wrong in being reactive. You will continue to be reactive. You will continue to service your customer whenever they ask you for help. But there are certain core use cases that you know that the value that you're delivering, what is that core value that your product and technology delivers? Those are the areas in which you want to, one after another, continue to set up signals, processes, and outcome pipelines to make sure that you are fundamentally reactive in all those places. I hope this was helpful, but are there other ways in which you have chosen to be proactive? How many places you think that you are now proactively delivering value to your customers? Are these 100% of the use cases? Usually never the case. Are these 50% of your use cases? Are these 10% of your use cases? Even 5%, that's a great start. Start being proactive, start delivering value proactively. Don't wait for them to reach out to you, because silence in customer success can be deafening. So you don't want a customer engagement to go completely silent. Don't wait for them to raise a ticket. So there we go. So that's being proactive for us. What do you think? Do add your ways of how you think you can be proactive, how you think you've cracked that model, and share it with all of us. Looking forward to your learning. Cheers. Bye.